Hello, everybody. It's the Bald Bearded Bicyclist, and it is day 3 of the Tour of Buffalo. It's been a super fun weekend, and this is the last race on Memorial Day. And this is the downtown Criterium. And as you'll see, it's a really, really cool course because it really is in a really cool area of Buffalo, where you get to really see City Hall. And, it's still far enough away that we didn't have to close down a major section of downtown or anything like that. But it does have a little bit more life to it than a business park type crit, which I think just added a really cool feel to it. Some of the roads did have some things you had to navigate. There were some really deep set manhole covers on one stretch, and there's a pretty big bump on a curb coming out of this turn. But this view, I loved taking this stretch every time, and this turn, just looking at City Hall there, it was super cool. I did have a really bad start again because of my clip-in. Missed it. Took me a while to get in, and was kind of hanging on the back. But I saw a couple of guys right in the beginning that I know are going to be there at the end, so I wasn't too worried. Try not to panic, but this is the stretch with the manhole covers, and they're all clearly marked, but there were a couple laps when I almost forgot exactly where they were, and had some close calls, but like that. And then yes, between those two, as a couple laps go by, everybody kind of started finding a groove, and was able to avoid those much better. But I know that I'm going to have to move up. I'm going to have to do a lot of work these first couple of laps to get in a better position. And I'll actually throw my stats up real quick, but we were moving pretty fast, and the second lap, I think my normalized power was, actually here it is here, it was lap 2 that my normalized was 357, so I definitely had to work pretty hard to get back to a better position in the group, but I drifted back and forth, and that really was hurting me near the end, because the back, you're just fighting so much harder through all the turns, and the little bit of time I spent near the front, it was a lot smoother. This turn, people were really gunning it out of here. I at least had to at the back, but you can see my power spiking up over 800, and that was the majority of that. I tried to get in there, but I had to hit the brakes to not get pinched off. We were starting to do, as we were coming out of there, I was learning those turns a lot better, and that one specifically, it was much easier to go outside, be able to pedal through, and it kind of sets you up to avoid all these manhole covers anyway. So I was a little nervous in this race because the rider in front of me, you can see, is wearing sneakers, and the laces are untied. And so a lot of this race, I was just kind of trying to avoid being near that. I was a little nervous they were going to get caught up in spokes. And I didn't want to go down on the last day. I had made it safe the whole weekend. Luckily, there was no crashes this day, and everybody was safe. But I do think it altered my race a little bit. I would often try to surge up or fall back just to kind of keep in a safe position. lot of little gaps that would open, but with the people slowing down a lot through this turn, this gap would close a little bit, but then again, everybody would surge out of it. So probably didn't need to be doing as much as work as we were doing, but again, that's what you get for being at the back. I was trying not to panic too much about this gap, and knew that there would be a chance to close it up. It seemed like on the finishing straight, these first few laps, people were starting to slow down and kind of catch their breath before heading into the next lap. And honestly, that's means it's the best time for somebody in the back to improve their position. On this lap, I really just needed a breather, but I was thinking, oh, this is actually a really good place to move up. And so I believe I was already planning on the next time coming around, taking the opportunity to move up on this finish straight. This turn was much easier on the inside. I was only on the inside a couple of times, I think, but I really should have gotten over that side more often. People were getting pushed out wide a lot, and that curb came into play a couple of times. I got pushed out right here. Again, the inside was easier, but I kind of got pushed a little bit, and I'm not trying to crash, so I'm not going to fight that hard for it. But I'm trying to move up here. There's just a lot to think about with this course too. There was that little drain cover there. That cone had fallen over. I got bumped a little bit there. So, going outside on this turn was actually, I could have gone outside even more and then kept pedaling, probably carried more speed, and I think I started to do that later in the race. I think here is where I had told myself, like I said, I was going to move up. So I'm just taking a second, finding which way is best to do that, and then just shot up on the left. And I'm really not working that hard. I mean, I had a little surge over 300, but I'm pretty comfortable at mid 200s. And I give it another surge just get into the turn, but just trying to find a way to tuck in before the turn. I couldn't really quite get it. But this is a much better position than I was in earlier, and we're on lap 5, so it didn't take too long, but I've definitely been using a lot of energy to get up here. And there's really only 20 laps. It turns to 21 as I crossed the finish line the last time, so just keep that in mind. I hit that bump pretty hard and lost a good amount of speed. So people always say if you're not moving up, you're moving back. And that was happening a little bit here. You know, I had found myself in a pretty good position, and I should have really been focusing on moving up, a couple riders here and there, because instead other people were doing that, and so I was falling back a little bit. But I did just push up again here. But I was finding myself, we got some, I don't know if those are lap riders up there, or if somebody had gone off the front. I was finding myself outside the draft a lot too, as I was trying to get better position, and then it was tough to tuck back in. Yeah, so those were a couple lap riders. I think pretty much the group stayed together. I don't know if there were really any flyers. Chris was calling out to me saying he was going to attack the outside line, and I should follow him up. I didn't quite hit it hard enough to actually get on his wheel, but he was taking that really nice. So there wasn't really any, from where I was sitting on closer to the back, I guess, there weren't any like crazy attacks where anyone really did get off the front. 4 or 5 field, people were just very responsive. We maybe took that a little bit too hot. I think Drew hit his pedal on the curb there. But again, everybody stayed upright, which was awesome. There were a couple other pedal strikes. So I definitely, just having to slow down on that turn 1, that lap, I definitely lost a good amount of positions, and I think it took me quite a while to get back into a good position. Opportunity to move up here. Always squeeze a little bit if you want to get nice and close to those cones. You just have to be careful of this little bump. This kind of tighten back up before this turn, so there's not too much else to say about this race until the end, so probably just let a lot of it play, and then I might just pop in with a few comments near the end. But enjoy, and take this time to like and subscribe, please, and feel free to comment. Let me know what you like about the videos, and if you're in the race, hopefully we can race again soon. Come out to Hamburg weekend, it's June 18th and 19th. That is going to be a crit again. That was the ECC course, and then a road race around Hamburg, New York, just outside of Buffalo. So come on down. We've got a lot more races for you this season. So I will say that around here, I was just frustrated with how this race was going, and maybe how tired I was from the weekend. But Jim kind of yelled out to me, and it was like, "Look, we got to move up." Two of us were hanging on the back, and we're halfway through this race at this point, and it spurred me on a little bit. So I appreciate him giving me the motivation. And as I started to move up a bit I started to feel better. I don't know if it was just positioning or it was just mentally, like I felt like I was back in the race. There was no reason to give up. I really should have just jumped on Jim's wheel fully and let him bring me up, but I think Devin actually starts pushing a little bit when Jim comes around him, so we do close some of those gaps that were opening there. But I kind of recommitted to the race a little bit after Jim spurred me on, but you'll hear some of the talking later. I wanted to do well, but I kept thinking, like, look, it's been a long weekend. I don't want to get involved in a crash at this point on the last day. So I was still playing it relatively safe. But if I saw a really good opportunity to move up, then I would do so. Right here, I mean, I can see a gap there. I mean, I probably should have just jumped up a little bit. Especially if you are to the point where you're thinking about just giving up on the race. I mean, you might as well burn some matches and see what happens. So I do jump up here. I just kind of got a second win. So never count yourself out. So obviously you can maybe hear a little bit of the yelling about the untied shoes. I don't know what the rules are. I don't care if you're wearing sneakers or not. But you don't want to be the guy who is possibly putting everybody else at risk. So please make sure you're riding safely. And I think we were just fine with him taking a free lap to maybe tie his shoes. Whatever it be, no reason to put everybody else at risk. Luckily, didn't cause an accident, but it could have, and I think definitely altered some people's races, just trying to avoid a bad situation. So, as we approach the end of this race, we just started 3 to go here, and this, I think, is my big mistake. I go too far outside. I let a bunch of people come up and kind of fill in, and I was in really good position before that turn, and I just kind of started falling back here. But I know it's 3 to go. I know I gotta move up, but there's some gaps that are starting to open a little bit, and I don't try hard enough to move up. I try to get up to the left here, but we're closing in. I can't really make up those positions I lost. Had I gone to the inside on this turn, I maybe could have. Again, everybody pushes it really hard out of this turn. So even though I'm pushing it really hard, I, again, can't really make up any spots. Trying to carry my speed. I move up here, but then as I'm on the outside, they kind of take those spots back because they had a bit more speed. And all of a sudden, I'm actually pretty close to the back of the pack again. So we're coming into 2 to go, and I just can't seem to get in good position here, knowing that this is the last lap. I know is going to be high paced, so I really should have been taking this stretch to move up as far as I could, even if that meant putting myself on the front a little bit, just to then can hopefully get in the draft as people go around me. But I just didn't position myself very well these last couple laps. I mean, looking at my heart rate too, I'm sure I'm just overall fatigued from the whole weekend. My muscles, my legs were hurting. But I've got room as far as my heart rate's concerned, so I should have been pushing a little bit harder to move up, and I'm trying here, but again, you just don't have much time to get before it narrows. And those surges are starting to hurt. I could have probably pushed it. Made that couple positions before that little turn, but overall I was just trying to be safe. Should have maybe been focusing on who's a good wheel to follow and trying to find my way there. So we're actually coming into 2 laps to go. I made a mistake earlier, so I think I overcompensated for the lap numbers being wrong, but the 19th and the 20th, so 2 to go. And I gotta find a good position, and I gotta hold it. I mean, really, you gotta start thinking about it with 5 laps to go is when you really want to start moving up, and try to hold that position. There's some crazy lines being taken here, but I gotta move up. It's always tough in the moment to will yourself to use energy at the moment, because in the back of your mind you're always thinking, oh, I've got a whole nother lap, or I want to save something for the sprint. But I'm on the back of the pack here, and sprint's not going to mean anything if I start all the way back here. I'm actually telling Chris, like, at this point I just want to be safe. I'm not worried about the end. I tell him to go, and I figure I'm just going to hang out back here. But then as the last lap comes around, I kind of get a third wind, and it's just like, look, whatever, let's just push it and see what happens. I was surprised that the front wasn't pushing it harder, and I think that was why I came back in and actually gave it another effort. I think I had kind of assumed that it was going to be really hard from there on out, but I think the front was all really thinking about the sprint, and they didn't have anybody keeping the pace really high. Heart rate's starting to get up there now. 170 is usually where it hurts, and it tends to not get as high near the end of a race because it just doesn't want to. This is last lap, and I know I gotta make some moves, or I'm gonna come in the last couple positions here. I already kind of decided that I'm not gonna be in the front, but wanted to push up as far as I could before the sprint, which I know this last stretch is gonna be faster pace. Again, though, here I could have been pushing up a little bit more, getting right up into the back of that main pack, because there's the pack and then there's kind of a couple of small gaps, and it's stretched out. And once the front really starts pushing it, there's no chance that we're going to catch back on. So I'm pushing really hard here. They're already sprinting. There's no way I'm catching them. But I take a couple positions, and I finish mid-pack. But teammate Steve Welling did great. He took third place. I'll throw up the finishing placings here. Ryan Snow from Syracuse took first. Eric Rickman, also from Syracuse, I believe, took second. And then I'm 14th, not horrible, but these are the overall GCs for the whole weekend. Ryan Snow again took first, and then Steve took second, and Drew Lloyd took third. So awesome job to those guys. Hopefully, as my skills and confidence are improving, I will be closer to the front later this season, but look forward to continuing the race season and having some fun with all these guys. So thanks for watching. Again, like and subscribe, and hopefully we'll see you at Hamburg weekend. Thanks a lot.